It's been a while since we've done a recommendation video, but you guys know how much we love young adult books, so we thought today we'd go over some of our favorite YA books.
We are unfortunately no longer young adults, but we still love reading a good YA book. And I think we found that there's something about them that they just keep your attention. I think because they know kids can get distracted really easily and lose interest quick, so they just try and keep you on track, and that's exactly what I need sometimes. So I always love reading a YA book. So we have a few here. We have some that we both have read and recommend, and then we each have some others that we want to talk about today. So lots of books. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started.
To start us off, we have the OG favorite, and that is the Arc of Sight series by Neal Shusterman. This is one of our favorite series of all time, and it's a series that introduced us to Neal Shusterman's writing. He's one of our favorite YA authors because of his crazy concepts. In this world, humanity has conquered disease, war, death, and there are these sights that walk among them, and they are the only people who can control the population. And in the story, we're just following two teenagers who are apprentices of sights. This series has it all. There's action-packed scenes, political intrigue, a little hint of romance, and just so many great messages and symbolism throughout the book. This series was hyped for a reason. We absolutely love it. If you haven't read it yet, we highly recommend. This would also be a great book for someone trying to get into reading because it's interesting all the way through.
Another one of our favorites, y'all already know, it's Fable by Adrienne Young. In this one, we're following Fable, and her father has left her on an island that has a lot of thieves, little food, and she is just trying to survive and use her skills and trust no one. This one is also full of action. There's a found family that we absolutely love, and it's a duet. If you need a quick, fast-paced, easy read, this is always our go-to recommendation for a book like that.
The next book we have is a Holly Jackson book, and this one is Five Survive. Anything by Holly Jackson we will recommend. She's like the queen of YA mystery thrillers, but this one we found super interesting. Basically, 6 students are trapped in an RV and only 5 survive. This was so interesting. It's one of those books where the whole thing takes place in one setting, so we're just in this RV and we're unpacking everything that's happening. I remember reading this in one sitting and I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, so if you're looking for something like that, definitely check out Holly Jackson.
One that would be great for spooky season is House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. This one is fantastic. I'm honestly surprised that it is YA just because this one's a little darker. So in this one, 10 years ago, 3 sisters went missing, and when they came back, they couldn't remember what happened to them. Now it's 10 years later and one of the sisters goes missing again, but it's a lot more than that. This one would be so perfect to read in spooky season because it does have some supernatural elements along with some mystery and an actually crazy ending. I honestly think I want to reread it soon.
Up next, we have a book we read really early on in our reading journey, but it still remains one of our favorite YA books, and it is Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone. This one I still sometimes see on the book talk shelves at like Barnes & Noble, and it deserves to be there. In this book, we're following Samantha. She's a high school student suffering with OCD, and we basically are just following her journey. She's trying to hide it from her friends, and when she meets a girl named Caroline, she's introduced to a whole nother world. So this one's definitely worth the read. It does explore the effect of severe mental illness. There is a little bit of a romance, and the ending I did not see coming. This remains one of my favorites.
One I recently read and loved is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I can't believe I just barely read this book, but it definitely deserves all of the hype. In this one, we're following Liz, and her old crush just moved back to town, and she's trying to get with him, but she's trying to get her neighbor Wes to help her out with that. Liz is a huge fan of rom-com films because her mom was a screenwriter. She ended up passing away a few years ago, so there's all of that in this book as well, and I think that's why I really liked it, because it wasn't just a romance. She's also grieving, but I think it's raw and emotional, and it just makes us closer to the character. I loved every second of it, and I can't wait to read the next book.
One of my unexpected favorite YA books is 9 by Zach Hines. This was a random purchase for me, but I ended up actually loving it. This is more of a dystopian YA book. In this alternate reality, everyone has 9 lives and people can't wait to burn through them because with every life, they upgrade to a better version of themselves. But our main character, Julian, is determined to stay on life 1 for as long as possible, and that stirs some things up. It was just a really fascinating concept, and I was intrigued the whole way through. So go read it if you like dystopian worlds, and even if you don't. I'd still read it.
Another one I just recently read is Float by Kate Marchant. This is actually a Wattpad book, so that was my first ever Wattpad read, and I loved it. In this one, we're following Waverly, and her parents have been divorced for quite some time, so this summer she has to decide if she's gonna go stay with her mom or if she's gonna go stay with her dad, and she ends up picking to stay with her aunt. So when she gets there, she's introduced to this group of kids, and they live by the beach, so there's a found family in there, there's a little bit of romance, and it was just so good. This is one of those that I know I would have loved even more if I read it when we were younger.
One that I read and loved this summer was The Counselors by Jessica Goodman. In this book, we're following Goldie. Her and her two best friends are supposed to have this last perfect summer as counselors at the camp they grew up at, but this year Goldie is hiding a secret, and when a body appears on the campsite, her and her best friends realize they might not know each other as well as they thought they did. This one had the perfect summer vibe I was looking for. I love the idea of a camp as the setting. Throughout this book, I was suspicious of everyone, and I wasn't able to predict the ending, so I loved it for that. I know other Jessica Goodman books are getting movie adaptations, so hopefully this one gets one as well one day.
The next one I have is Ace of Spades by Frida Apiki Iyemedi. Sorry if I said that wrong. We're following two students that are being targeted by an anonymous bully, and this bully is exposing their deepest and darkest secrets to the entire student body at their elite private high school. This one I was a little concerned with early on because I thought it was going to be like One of Us is Lying, but it was nothing like One of Us is Lying. I did not see where the story was going to go, but I was super interested the entire way through. This is one of those that just plays so effortlessly like a movie in your head. I want to see this book become an adaptation. I want Jordan Peele to be on it, so if that could happen, that would be great.
The next one I have I talk about all the time, and it is I Killed Zoe Spanos by Kit Frick. This one really did it for me. For YA mystery thrillers, this one remains one of my favorites. In this, we're following two teenagers whose lives become linked when one of them confesses to a murder and the other one is determined to uncover the truth. This audiobook is fantastic. They have podcast-like elements throughout the story, so listening to that was really cool. This was one of my favorite books of last year, so if you haven't read it yet, definitely check it out.
One that I always recommend is the Selection series by Kira Cass. This is a dystopian book where 35 girls are chosen to participate in the selection, live in the palace, and compete for the heart of Prince Maxon. The storyline was very much The Bachelor mixed with the Hunger Games, and there was also a love triangle in there that in the beginning I was completely torn because I loved both boys and I loved the entire series, so I'll forever recommend this one.
I have another YA mystery thriller, and this one is Suicide Notes from Beautiful Girls by Lynn Wingarden, one of my recent favorites. I've had this book on my shelf for so many years, and I cannot believe how long it took me to finally read it. In this book, we're following June. She is a high schooler who decides to investigate her ex-best friend's suicide. And just like with I Killed Zoe Spanos, I love it when our main character has to take the investigation in their own hands. This story was absolutely insane. It was twisty, unpredictable, and I can't wait to read more by this author.
I'll forever be thankful to this book because I know it got me out of such a bad reading slump, and it is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Y'all know what this one is. It was very popular last year. It was one of our Literal Besties Book Club books, and it deserves all the hype. In this one, we're following a group of teenagers, and they all have these special abilities that help the FBI solve cold cases. I was super captivated the entire way through, and I thought the mystery and the little bit of romance that was in there was done very well. And this series has one of my favorite found families, so I loved it, and I loved it more than The Inheritance Games from Jennifer Lynn Barnes.
The last one I have for today would be perfect for spooky season, and it is Our Crooked Hearts by Melissa Albert. In this, we are following a mother and daughter. There's two different timelines, and it's such a fast-paced, creepy, witchy book. This plot had me completely engaged. We're following these two timelines until they overlap, and it was just done so well. Another one that I could not predict, and it had just the right amount of spooky scenes to creep me out and be perfect for the Halloween season. I believe I talked about this one in our fall recs, and I still stand by it. Perfect for this month. Go read it. This is one that I wish I would have waited to read in October.
So these are all of the YA book recommendations we have for today. YA is just different. It's just better, honestly.
There is no age limit for young adult books. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Sometimes there's just things YA books do that adult books can't do. Let us know in the comments some of your favorite young adult books, recommendations. Let us know if you've read any of these and your thoughts on them.
Make sure to join our Literal Besties Book Club if you haven't already. This month we are going to be reading The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Lori Gilmore.
That link will be in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you guys next time. I love this book. Okay.
There's just so many cute and giddy moments that had me like kicking, screaming my feet up in the air.
That's how it be sometimes. In this, we're following two teenagers whose lives become linked when one of them confesses to a murder and the other one is determined to uncover the truth.
Nice.
Was that good?
Yeah.
Did you say nice while I said it?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. I always love when there's a book and it's like a kid is taking it. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Tell me.
When the